There is a place on Earth where sunlight has never reached, where the pressure could crush a car like a tin can, where creatures glow in the darkness and sounds echo that we cannot explain. We've mapped the surface of Mars, we've photographed distant galaxies, but right here, beneath our feet, covering 71% of our planet, lies a world we barely know, the deep ocean. And in its depths, things exist that defy explanation. Sounds that shouldn't be there, structures that shouldn't exist, creatures that seem pulled from nightmares. What's down there, and why, after centuries of exploration, do we still have no answers? The ocean keeps its secrets, and some of them are terrifying. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. The waves roll in, familiar and rhythmic. The surface sparkles in the sunlight. It feels known, safe. But beneath that thin layer of light, everything changes. Drop just 200 feet and the colors begin to fade. Red disappears first, then orange, then yellow. By 600 feet, you're in perpetual twilight. The blue grows darker, colder, more alien with every passing foot. And that's just the beginning. The ocean doesn't end where the light does. It goes deeper, much deeper. Beyond the twilight zone lies the midnight zone, where no trace of sunlight has ever penetrated. It's a world of absolute darkness, cold enough to freeze your blood, with pressure so intense it would collapse your lungs in an instant. And below that, the abyssal zone, and below that, the hadal zone. Trenches so deep that if you dropped Mount Everest into them, the peak would still be over a mile underwater. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the deep ocean floor. We've sent 12 people to walk on lunar dust, but only 3 have descended to the deepest point on Earth. The technology required is staggering, the risks are immense, and the cost is prohibitive, so the deep ocean remains largely unexplored, unmapped, unknown. We've surveyed perhaps 5% of it in detail. The rest is mystery. But here's what we do know. The ocean is not empty. It's teeming with life. Strange, bizarre, beautiful, and sometimes horrifying life. Creatures that have evolved in conditions so extreme they might as well be from another planet. And they're not the only things down there. There are sounds, unexplained signals, structures that appear too organized to be natural, phenomena that science struggles to categorize. The deep ocean is Earth's last true frontier, and the more we explore it, the more questions we find. What lies in the darkness? What lurks beyond the reach of our instruments? And what does it mean that we share this planet with an entire world we don't understand? Let's descend into the abyss and find out. It started with a sound. In the summer of 1997, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was monitoring the Pacific Ocean using underwater microphones called hydrophones. These devices, originally designed to track Soviet submarines during the Cold War, now listened for whale songs, volcanic eruptions, and tectonic activity. On a quiet day in the monitoring station, analysts heard something that made them stop. A sound, loud, powerful, and completely unidentifiable. It started low, then rose in frequency over about 1 minute. It was picked up by sensors over 3,000 miles apart, meaning whatever made it was extraordinarily loud. Louder than any known biological source. Louder than any whale. Louder than any submarine. Louder than most underwater earthquakes. They called it the Bloop. And to this day, despite various theories and attempts to explain it, nobody knows for certain what created it. The official explanation eventually settled on ice quakes, massive icebergs fracturing and scraping against the ocean floor near Antarctica. The sound profile matches. The location makes sense. But there's a problem. The sound has biological characteristics. It rises and falls in a way that resembles a living creature vocalizing, not ice-breaking. And it's so loud that, if it were biological, the creature would have to be far larger than any animal we've ever documented. Larger than a blue whale. Larger than anything in the fossil record. So what was it? The bloop is just one of many unexplained sounds recorded in the deep ocean. There's Julia, a sound detected in 1999 that lasted 15 seconds and was loud enough to be heard across the Pacific Basin. There's upsweep, a seasonal sound that's been recorded since 1991, rising and falling in frequency like a living thing breathing. There's slow down, a sound that decreases in frequency over 7 minutes, recorded multiple times but never explained. And there's train, a sound that resembles a distant locomotive rumbling through the abyss, recorded in the Pacific and never identified. These aren't echoes. They're not equipment malfunctions. They're real, physical sounds traveling through water, generated by something in the ocean. But what? The fact that we don't know is unsettling. It suggests that the ocean is home to phenomena, maybe even creatures, that we haven't discovered yet. And if something that loud can remain hidden, what else is down there? That question haunted scientists, so they started looking deeper, and what they found was stranger than anyone expected. Part 1. The Twilight Zone. Let's descend. The journey into the deep ocean begins at the surface, where sunlight dances through the waves. But we're not staying here. We're going down. 200 feet, 300, 400. The light is fading. The water is cooler. The blue deepens into indigo. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. This layer, stretching from about 600 to 3,000 feet, is where things start to get strange. There's still a faint glow from above, enough for your eyes to detect if they were adapted to it. But it's not enough for photosynthesis. Plants can't survive here. So everything that lives in this zone is either a predator, a scavenger, or something that feeds on the organic snow drifting down from the sunlit waters above. And the creatures here have adapted in ways that seem almost alien. Take the hatchetfish. It's a small silver fish with a body so thin it's almost transparent. Its eyes are huge, pointing upward, scanning the dim light for the silhouettes of prey. But the strangest part? It glows. Along its belly, rows of bioluminescent organs called photophores emit a soft blue light. This isn't for attracting mates or luring prey. It's camouflage. When a predator looks up at a hatchetfish from below, the fish's glow matches the faint light filtering down from above, making it invisible. It's called counter-illumination. And it's just one of dozens of strategies creatures use to survive in the Twilight Zone. Then there's the viperfish. With teeth so long they don't fit in its mouth, this predator looks like something out of a horror movie. It hangs motionless in the water, a faint glow emanating from a lure dangling in front of its face. Small fish, attracted to the light, swim closer. And then, in a burst of speed, the viperfish strikes, its jaws unhinging to swallow prey nearly as large as itself. It's efficient, brutal, and perfectly adapted to a world where food is scarce and every meal counts. But the Twilight Zone isn't just home to predators. It's also a highway. Every night, billions of creatures migrate from the deep ocean to the surface to feed, then return before dawn. It's called the Deal vertical migration, and it's the largest movement of animals on Earth. Lanternfish, krill, squid, jellyfish. They all make the journey, rising thousands of feet under cover of darkness, then descending again as the sun rises. For decades, sonar operators detected this migration and thought it was the ocean floor. They called it the deep scattering layer. It wasn't until later that they realized it was alive. Why do they migrate? To feed. The surface waters are rich with plankton, but they're also filled with predators that hunt by sight. So these creatures wait until dark, when they can feed safely, then retreat to the depths where light-dependent predators can't follow. It's a strategy millions of years in the making. And it works. But here's where it gets mysterious. Sometimes sonar detects migration patterns that don't make sense, massive echoes that appear and disappear without explanation, shapes that rise and fall at depths and speeds that shouldn't be possible for known species. In the 1960s, Navy submarines tracking Soviet vessels occasionally picked up sonar contacts they couldn't identify. Huge, fast-moving objects that seemed biological but didn't match any known animal. They were classified and filed away. And they've never been explained. What were they? Schools of fish behaving unusually? Equipment errors? Or something else? The ocean in the twilight zone is crowded with life, but it's also vast and poorly understood. Entire species could exist there, living their entire lives in the dim blue, and we'd never know unless we specifically went looking. And even then, finding them would be like searching for a single fish in an ocean, which, ironically, is exactly what we're trying to do. One of the strangest discoveries in the twilight zone came in 2005 when researchers deployed a deep-sea camera off the coast of California. They were hoping to photograph squid. What they captured instead was something unexpected. A jellyfish, but not just any jellyfish. This one was enormous, over 3 feet in diameter, with tentacles stretching out another 20 feet. It drifted through the frame slowly, pulsing gently, glowing with bioluminescence. It was beautiful, alien, and completely unknown to science. They named it after the first specimen was formally described, but here's the thing. Jellyfish like this one probably aren't rare. They're just rarely seen. The deep ocean is difficult to explore, and jellyfish are fragile. Most nets destroy them. Most cameras miss them. So they drift through the twilight, unseen and uncounted, part of an ecosystem we're only beginning to understand. And then there are the sounds. In the twilight zone, creatures use sound to communicate, navigate, and hunt. Whales call to each other across hundreds of miles. Dolphins echolocate, bouncing clicks off prey and obstacles. Snapping shrimp create bubbles that collapse with a sound louder than a gunshot, but some sounds don't fit. In 2014, researchers in the Caribbean recorded a series of low-frequency pulses that didn't match any known species. The pattern was regular, almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat. It lasted for hours, then stopped. They've never heard it again. What was it? A whale species we haven't documented? A geological process we don't understand? Or something else entirely? The ocean keeps its secrets, and the twilight zone, for all its strange beauty, is just the beginning. Below it lies the midnight zone, and that's where things get truly strange. Part 2. The Midnight Zone. 3,000 feet down, the last traces of sunlight are gone. You're in total darkness now. The only light comes from the creatures themselves. Welcome to the Midnight Zone. This is a world of bioluminescence. Almost everything that lives here glows. Some use it to hunt, some use it to communicate, some use it to confuse predators, and some use it in ways we don't fully understand. The result is a light show unlike anything on the surface. Flashes of blue, green, and red pulse through the blackness. Creatures drift past, trailing glowing particles. It's hauntingly beautiful and deeply alien. One of the most iconic residents of the Midnight Zone is the anglerfish. You've probably seen pictures. The female anglerfish has a bioluminescent lure extending from her head, dangling in front of her mouth like a fishing rod. Small fish, attracted to the light, swim closer, and then the anglerfish strikes, its jaws opening wide enough to swallow prey larger than itself. But here's the truly strange part. The male anglerfish is tiny, a fraction of the female's size. When he finds a mate, he bites onto her body and fuses with her, becoming a permanent parasite. His organs degrade until he's nothing more than a sperm-producing appendage. It's one of the most bizarre reproductive strategies in the animal kingdom, and it works perfectly in the Midnight Zone, where finding a mate in the vast darkness is nearly impossible. Then there's the vampire squid. Despite its name, it doesn't drink blood. It's actually a gentle scavenger feeding on marine snow. The constant rain of dead plankton, feces, and organic material drifting down from above. But when threatened, the vampire squid turns itself inside out, exposing rows of fleshy spines and bioluminescent organs that pulse with light. It's a defensive display meant to confuse predators, and it's mesmerizing to watch. But the Midnight Zone isn't just home to small, strange fish. There are giants here too. The giant squid, long considered a myth, was finally photographed alive in 2004. It measured over 40 feet long, with eyes the size of dinner plates, the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. Those eyes are adapted to detect the faintest bioluminescence in the pitch-black water, allowing the squid to hunt in total darkness. For centuries, sailors told stories of kraken dragging ships beneath the waves. We dismissed them as legends, but now we know that giant squids are real. They're rare, elusive, and powerful. And they're not the only giants down here. There's also the colossal squid, even larger and more mysterious than the giant squid. It has rotating hooks on its tentacles, designed to shred prey. A few specimens have been recovered from the stomachs of sperm whales, but no one has ever seen a living colossal squid in its natural habitat. It remains a ghost of the deep, glimpsed only in fragments. And then there are the sounds. The midnight zone is not silent. Whales dive to these depths to feed, their songs echoing through the abyss. Sperm whales, in particular, are known to dive over 6,000 feet, holding their breath for over an hour as they hunt giant squid. Their clicks, used for echolocation, are the loudest sounds produced by any animal, loud enough to vibrate your chest if you were close enough. But again, there are sounds that don't fit. In 2016, researchers off the coast of Oregon recorded a deep, resonant hum that lasted for weeks. It wasn't biological, it wasn't geological, it was just there. And then it stopped. One of the most chilling discoveries in the midnight zone came in 1977. Not from a sound, but from a sight. Scientists aboard the research submersible Alvin were exploring the Galapagos Rift, a volcanic zone on the ocean floor, when they stumbled upon something incredible. Rising from the seafloor were towering chimneys belching superheated water, black with minerals. They called them hydrothermal vents, or black smokers. And around these vents, in a place where nothing should survive, life thrived. There were giant tube worms, some over 6 feet long with no mouth, no stomach, no digestive system. They survived entirely on bacteria living inside them, bacteria that fed on chemicals in the vent water. There were white crabs, blind shrimp, and fish that had never seen sunlight. This was a complete ecosystem based not on photosynthesis, but on chemosynthesis, life powered by chemicals instead of light. It was a discovery that changed biology forever. It proved that life didn't need the sun. It could exist anywhere there was energy, even in the deepest, darkest corners of the ocean, even potentially on other planets. But hydrothermal vents raised more questions than they answered. How did these ecosystems form? How did the creatures find the vents in the vast, empty ocean? And were there other vents, other ecosystems, that we hadn't discovered yet? The answer to the last question is almost certainly yes. The ocean floor is dotted with volcanic activity, and we've explored only a tiny fraction of it. There could be entire ecosystems thriving in the darkness, filled with species we've never seen, and some of them might be very, very strange. In 2007, researchers exploring a vent field in the Indian Ocean discovered something unexpected. Among the tube worms and crabs, they found a shrimp covered in what looked like fur. But it wasn't fur. It was bacteria. Millions of them, growing on specialized hairs covering the shrimp's body. The shrimp essentially farms bacteria, cultivating them for food. It's a symbiotic relationship unlike anything else on Earth. And it was found in one of the most extreme environments imaginable. Then there are the brine pools. Imagine a lake at the bottom of the ocean. That's what a brine pool is. A dense, super salty body of water sitting on the seafloor, separated from the surrounding ocean by its salinity. These pools are toxic to most life. The water is 5 to 10 times saltier than normal seawater, filled with methane and hydrogen sulfide. Anything that swims into one usually dies, but around the edges, life thrives. Mussels, tube worms, and bacteria create ecosystems that feed on the chemicals seeping from the brine. And sometimes, cameras capture something unexpected. Ghostly white fish drifting into the brine, dying slowly and sinking to the bottom, joining the graveyard of creatures that made the same mistake. But here's the eerie part. Sometimes sonar and submersibles detect brine pools that aren't on any map, pools that appear and disappear, pools that seem to move. Some researchers believe these are caused by shifting sediment or changes in ocean currents. Others aren't so sure. The ocean floor is constantly changing, shaped by currents, earthquakes, and volcanic activity. It's possible that there are entire features, lakes, valleys, even structures that we've never documented. And if that's true, what else might be down there? The Midnight Zone is a place of wonders and horrors. It's where life pushes the boundaries of what's possible. But below it lies something even stranger: the Abyssal Zone. And in its depths, the mysteries grow darker. Part 3. The Abyssal Zone. 13,000 feet down. The pressure here is crushing. Over 400 times the pressure at sea level. A single square inch of your body would feel the weight of nearly 2 tons. There is no light. The temperature hovers just above freezing. The water is still, almost motionless. This is the Abyssal Zone, and it covers more than half of the Earth's surface. The ocean floor here is a vast, flat plain. Sediment has been settling for millions of years, creating a soft, muddy bottom that stretches in every direction. It's been called the most remote, lifeless place on Earth. But that's not quite true. Life is here. It's just sparse, slow, and strange. Abyssal creatures have evolved to survive on almost nothing. Food is scarce. Most of what drifts down from above is consumed long before it reaches this depth. So the animals here are patient. They move slowly, conserving energy. They have slow metabolisms, slow growth rates, and long lifespans. Some deep-sea fish live for over 100 years, barely moving, waiting for the next meal to drift by. One of the strangest creatures in the Abyssal Zone is the Dumbo octopus, named for its ear-like fins that resemble the Disney elephant. This small octopus flaps through the water like it's flying. It feeds on worms and crustaceans buried in the sediment, hovering above the seafloor and pouncing when it detects movement. It's gentle, almost cute, a strange contrast to the nightmare creatures usually associated with the deep ocean. But there are nightmares here too. The fang-tooth fish has teeth so large relative to its body that it can't fully close its mouth. It drifts through the darkness, jaws open, waiting for prey to swim into its path. The gulper eel has a mouth that can expand to swallow prey larger than itself, its body stretching like a balloon to accommodate meals that might not come again for weeks. And then there are the scavengers. When a whale dies and sinks to the ocean floor, it creates a whale fall, an entire ecosystem based on a single carcass. Hagfish, sleeper sharks, crabs, and worms descend on the body, feeding for months or even years. And beneath the bones, bacteria break down the fats and oils, releasing chemicals that support specialized communities of worms and clams. A whale fall can sustain life for decades. It's a rare oasis in a desert of mud. But not all whale falls are natural. In recent years, researchers have found carcasses with strange wounds, deep cuts, missing sections, patterns that don't match any known scavenger. Some believe it's evidence of unknown predators. Others think it's geological, carcasses dragging across sharp rocks. But the wounds are clean, almost surgical, and they've been found on whale falls across the world. What made them? The Abyssal Zone is also home to one of the ocean's greatest mysteries, the deep scattering layer anomalies. We mentioned earlier that sonar detects massive migrations of life rising and falling through the water column. But sometimes, sonar picks up echoes that don't move. Massive, dense shapes sitting on the seafloor, sometimes hundreds of feet across. When submersibles investigate, they find nothing, just mud. So what caused the echoes? Gas bubbles? Mineral deposits? Schools of fish hovering motionless? Nobody knows. In the 1970s, the U.S. Navy's Sound Surveillance System, a network of underwater microphones designed to track submarines, began detecting anomalies. Sonar contacts that moved too fast to be biological, but in patterns too erratic to be man-made. Some were dismissed as equipment errors. Others were classified. A few leaked reports mentioned objects moving at speeds exceeding 60 knots, faster than any known submarine, and changing depth rapidly from the surface to thousands of feet in seconds. If the reports are accurate, we have no explanation. If they're errors, they're very consistent errors. One of the most disturbing findings in the abyssal zone came in 2009. A research team was surveying the seafloor near the mid-Atlantic ridge when their camera captured something strange. A trail, not a random pattern, but a clear, deliberate path carved into the sediment. It stretched for over 100 feet, perfectly straight, then turned at a right angle and continued. At the end of the trail was nothing, just undisturbed mud. Whatever made the trail had vanished. Researchers proposed several explanations: a fish dragging something, a piece of debris sliding across the bottom, a current carving a pattern. But none of them quite fit. The trail was too straight, too deliberate, and the right-angle turn was inexplicable. Currents don't turn at right angles. Debris doesn't carve clean lines. Fish don't drag things in perfect geometry. So what made it? The abyssal zone is full of traces like this. Trails, mounds, depressions, and patterns that appear intentional. Some are easily explained. Sea cucumbers crawling across the mud, for example, leave distinctive tracks. But others defy explanation, and the deeper we go, the stranger they get. There are also structures. In 2015, a sonar survey off the coast of Japan detected a series of geometric formations on the seafloor. Circular depressions, evenly spaced, arranged in a grid. When cameras were sent down, they found nothing unusual, just mud and rocks. But the sonar kept showing the patterns. Were they geological, remnants of ancient volcanic activity, or something else? Similar formations have been found in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. Some are natural: erosion, mineral deposits, tectonic activity. But some are harder to explain. In the Baltic Sea, divers discovered a perfectly circular stone formation sitting on the seafloor. It looked artificial, but it's been dated to over 10,000 years ago, long before any known civilization in the region. Geologists say it's a glacial deposit, but its shape is unnervingly regular. The abyssal zone also plays host to strange migrations. In 2018, researchers tagged a type of fish called a grenadier and tracked its movements. Grenadiers are common in the deep ocean, feeding on the seafloor and scavenging dead animals. But this one did something unexpected. It swam. Not randomly, but in a straight line, covering over 1,000 miles in just a few weeks, crossing from one abyssal plain to another. Why? What was it seeking? We don't know. And when the tag stopped transmitting, the fish vanished into the abyss. But the abyssal zone, as vast and mysterious as it is not the deepest part of the ocean. Below it lies the hadal zone, the trenches, and that's where the ocean's darkest secrets are hidden. Part 4. The hadal zone. 20,000 feet, 30,000, 35,000. We're descending into the hadal zone now, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. These are the ocean trenches, the deepest places on Earth. The Mariana Trench, the Tonga Trench, the Philippine Trench. Chasms so deep, so dark, so utterly hostile to life that for centuries we believed nothing could survive here. We were wrong. The deepest point on Earth is the Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench, nearly 7 miles below the surface. The pressure here is over 1,000 times atmospheric pressure, 16,000 pounds per square inch. A human body would be crushed instantly. Even specially designed submersibles can only withstand it for a few hours before the hull begins to crack. It's as close to visiting an alien planet as we can get without leaving Earth. And yet, life is here. In 1960, when Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh made the first descent to the Challenger Deep in the bathyscaphe Trieste, they looked out the window and saw a flatfish and a shrimp just sitting there, alive, at a depth where nothing should exist. It was a revelation. Life was more resilient than anyone had imagined. Since then, we've sent cameras and remotely operated vehicles to the trenches, and what they've found is astonishing. Snailfish with translucent bodies and cartilage instead of bones, allowing them to flex under the crushing pressure. amphipods the size of your hand scavenging on the seafloor, sea cucumbers drifting like ghosts, and bacteria, always bacteria, breaking down organic material and forming the base of a fragile food web. But the hadal zone is not just about what we've found, it's also about what we've heard. And what we've heard is deeply unsettling. In 2016, a team from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration deployed a deep-sea microphone into the Mariana Trench. The goal was to record ambient noise, whale calls, earthquakes, the sound of sediment shifting. What they captured instead was a cacophony of strange noises, metallic clangs, low-frequency moans, high-pitched whistles, and one sound, recorded multiple times, that researchers described as resembling a scream. The official explanation was that the sounds were caused by baleen whales, specifically dwarf minke whales, vocalizing in unusual ways. The trench acts as an echo chamber, amplifying and distorting the sounds. That's plausible. But some of the recordings don't quite match known whale calls. They're too structured, too rhythmic, almost like a pattern, and they've never been heard anywhere else. Then there's the bioduck sound, first recorded in the 1960s and only recently attributed to Antarctic minke whales. For decades, no one knew what made the sound. It was heard across the Southern Ocean, a repetitive quacking noise that sonar operators nicknamed bioduck. When scientists finally tracked it to minke whales, it was a relief. One mystery solved. But the fact that such a common sound remained unexplained for so long is a reminder of how little we know. What else is making noise in the trenches? What other sounds are we detecting but can't identify? The ocean is full of signals we don't understand. And the trenches, being the deepest and most isolated parts of the ocean, are where the strangest signals come from. One of the most chilling discoveries in the hadal zone came in 2019. A research team sent a lander, a remote camera system, to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The lander sat on the seafloor for 12 hours, filming. Most of what it captured was expected. Amphipods, snailfish, sediment drifting past. But in the final hour, something appeared in the frame. A shape, large, indistinct, moving slowly across the background. The camera's resolution wasn't high enough to make out details, but whatever it was big. At least 6 feet long, possibly more. It passed through the frame in about 30 seconds and disappeared into the darkness. Researchers analyzed the footage. Some suggested it was a large snailfish, distorted by the camera angle. Others thought it might be a type of eel or elongated fish. But the movement didn't quite match. It was smooth, almost gliding, and it was gone before they could get a better look. The lander was retrieved, but when they sent it down again to the same location, they saw nothing. Whatever it was gone. The hadal zone is full of moments like this, glimpses of something strange, gone too quickly to identify. And because exploring the trenches is so difficult and expensive, we rarely get a second chance. Each dive is a single snapshot of an entire world, and we're trying to understand that world from a handful of photographs. There are also the wrecks. Ships that sank in storms, battles, or accidents, drifting down through the water column, settling on the seafloor, or in some cases sliding down the continental slope into the trenches. The USS Indianapolis, sunk by a Japanese submarine in World War II, was found resting at over 18,000 feet. The wreck is remarkably well preserved, protected by the cold, still water, and lack of oxygen. But it's also haunted. Nearly 900 men went into the water when the ship sank. Only 300 survived. The rest were lost to exposure, dehydration, and sharks. The wreck sits as a silent memorial. But some wrecks are stranger. In the 1990s, sonar detected what appeared to be a ship sitting upright in the Philippine Trench, over 30,000 feet down. When cameras were sent to investigate, they found nothing. The sonar contact had vanished. Was it a glitch? A misidentification of geological features? Or did something move? The ocean floor is not static. Currents can shift sediment, burying objects or exposing them. Earthquakes can trigger underwater landslides, carrying debris miles away. It's possible the wreck was real but buried or displaced before cameras arrived. Or it's possible it was never there at all. The hadal zone also has another mystery: plastic. In recent years, researchers have found plastic bags, bottles, and microplastics in the deepest parts of the ocean. Even in the Challenger Deep, over 36,000 feet down, plastic has been found in the stomachs of amphipods. It's a sobering reminder that no part of the ocean is untouched by human activity. But it also raises a question: how did it get there so quickly? Plastic has only been mass-produced for about 70 years, yet it's already reached the most remote, inaccessible parts of the planet. The ocean's currents are more powerful and far-reaching than we realized. And if plastic can reach the trenches in decades, what else has? There are also reports, unconfirmed and controversial, of unusual sonar contacts in the hadal zone, objects that move in ways that don't match known biology or technology. In the 1980s, a Soviet submarine allegedly detected a large, fast-moving contact in the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench. The contact was tracked for several hours, moving at speeds and depths inconsistent with any known submarine. The crew reported it, but the incident was classified. Decades later, a few details leaked, but nothing was ever confirmed. Was it real? A misidentification? Propaganda? We may never know. What we do know is that the hadal zone is the least explored part of the ocean. Only a handful of descents have been made to the deepest points, and each one reveals something new. Strange creatures, unusual geology, sounds and signals we can't explain. It's a world within our world, alien and hostile, yet teeming with life and mystery. And the more we explore it, the more we realize how little we understand. But the ocean's mysteries aren't confined to the depths. They also exist in places we can see, places we've studied for years, and some of the strangest are right beneath the surface. Hidden Truth, Part 1: Unexplained Phenomena. The ocean is not just deep, it's dynamic, constantly moving, shifting, changing in ways we're only beginning to understand. And within that movement are phenomena that science struggles to explain. Take bioluminescent bays. In certain parts of the world, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, the Maldives, entire bays glow at night. Not from artificial light, but from billions of tiny organisms called dinoflagellates. When disturbed, they emit a flash of blue light, creating a glowing wake behind boats, swimmers, or fish. It's beautiful, magical, and we understand the mechanism. It's a chemical reaction within the organisms, likely a defense mechanism to startle predators. But here's the mystery: why do they sometimes synchronize? In some bays, the dinoflagellates flash in unison, creating waves of light that pulse across the water. No one knows how they coordinate. They don't have brains or nervous systems. They don't communicate through chemicals or sound. Yet they flash together, like a living, glowing heartbeat. Some scientists believe it's a response to water currents or lunar cycles. Others think it's a form of collective behavior we don't yet understand. Whatever the cause, it's a reminder that even the simplest organisms can produce phenomena that baffle us. Then there are the underwater crop circles. In 2012, a diver off the coast of Japan discovered a perfect geometric pattern on the seafloor. It was about 6 feet in diameter, with radial ridges extending outward in a symmetrical design. It looked artificial, but no one had made it. Cameras were set up, and over the next few days they captured the creator, a small pufferfish. The male pufferfish spends days creating the pattern, using only his fins to attract a mate. The more complex the design, the more likely he is to succeed. It's one of the most elaborate courtship displays in the animal kingdom, and it was only discovered recently. How many other behaviors, other phenomena are happening in the ocean that we haven't witnessed yet? Fish that build structures, cephalopods that use tools, coral reefs that communicate. The ocean is full of life, and life is endlessly creative. There are also the milky seas. Sailors have reported this phenomenon for centuries. Vast areas of the ocean, sometimes stretching for thousands of square miles, glowing with a steady milky light. not flashing like bioluminescent waves, but glowing constantly, bright enough to read by. For years, scientists dismissed these reports as exaggerations. Then in 2005, satellite imagery confirmed it. Off the coast of Somalia, a milky sea was detected from space. It glowed for 3 consecutive nights, covering over 6,000 square miles. The cause? Likely bacteria, billions of them bioluminescing en masse. But why? And why only in certain locations? We're still not sure. Then, there are the ocean's acoustic mysteries. Sound travels far in water, much farther than in air. Whales can communicate across entire ocean basins. Submarines use sonar to navigate, but the ocean also produces sounds we can't explain. The 52 Hz whale is one example. For decades, hydrophones have detected a whale singing at a frequency of 52 Hz, much higher than the typical 10 to 40 Hz of most baleen whales. No one has ever seen this whale. No one knows what species it is. It's been called the loneliest whale in the world because its song is so unique. Other whales may not be able to hear it. Or maybe they can, and we're misinterpreting the data. Either way, it's been singing for over 30 years, and we still don't know who or what it is. There's also the whistle, a sound recorded in the Atlantic in 2000. It started as a low hum, then rose in pitch over several minutes, becoming a high-pitched whistle before abruptly stopping. It's been recorded multiple times since, always in the same region, but never identified. Some believe it's a type of whale or dolphin we haven't documented. Others think it might be geological, gas escaping from the seafloor. But the pattern is so consistent, so deliberate, that it feels intentional. And then there are the underwater rivers. Yes, rivers. Beneath the ocean, in certain locations, denser, saltier water flows along the seafloor, creating underwater currents that behave like rivers. The largest is in the Black Sea, where a river flows through an underwater channel, complete with rapids, waterfalls, and floodplains. It's an entire river system, invisible to anyone on the surface. And it's not the only one. Similar features have been found in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. They affect ocean circulation, sediment transport, and marine life. Yet they were only discovered recently, hidden beneath the waves. The ocean is full of layers, both literal and metaphorical. And the more we peel them back, the more we find. Strange creatures, unusual phenomena, sounds and signals we can't explain. But some of the ocean's greatest mysteries aren't natural. They're human-made, or at least, they seem to be. The ocean is not just deep. It's dynamic, constantly moving, shifting, changing in ways we're only beginning to understand. And within that movement are phenomena that science struggles to explain. Take bioluminescent bays. In certain parts of the world, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, the Maldives, entire bays glow at night. Not from artificial light, but from billions of tiny organisms called dinoflagellates. When disturbed, they emit a flash of blue light, creating a glowing wake behind boats, swimmers, or fish. It's beautiful, magical. And we understand the mechanism. It's a chemical reaction within the organisms, likely a defense mechanism to startle predators. But here's the mystery. Why do they sometimes synchronize? In some bays, the dinoflagellates flash in unison, creating waves of light that pulse across the water. No one knows how they coordinate. They don't have brains or nervous systems. They don't communicate through chemicals or sound. Yet, they flash together, like a living, glowing heartbeat. Some scientists believe it's a response to water currents or lunar cycles. Others think it's a form of collective behavior we don't yet understand. Whatever the cause, it's a reminder that even the simplest organisms can produce phenomena that baffle us. Then, there are the underwater crop circles. In 2012, a diver off the coast of Japan discovered a perfect geometric pattern on the seafloor. It was about 6 feet in diameter, with radial ridges extending outward in a symmetrical design. It looked artificial, but no one had made it. Cameras were set up, and over the next few days, they captured the creator. a small pufferfish. The male pufferfish spends days creating the pattern, using only his fins to attract a mate. The more complex the design, the more likely he is to succeed. It's one of the most elaborate courtship displays in the animal kingdom, and it was only discovered recently. How many other behaviors, other phenomena are happening in the ocean that we haven't witnessed yet? Fish that build structures, cephalopods that use tools, coral reefs that communicate. The ocean is full of life, and life is endlessly creative. There are also the milky seas. Sailors have reported this phenomenon for centuries. Vast areas of the ocean, sometimes stretching for thousands of square miles, glowing with a steady, milky light. Not flashing like bioluminescent waves, but glowing constantly, bright enough to read by. For years, scientists dismissed these reports as exaggerations. Then, in 2005, satellite imagery confirmed it. Off the coast of Somalia, a milky sea was detected from space. It glowed for 3 consecutive nights, covering over 6,000 square miles. The cause? Likely bacteria, billions of them, bioluminescing en masse. But why? And why only in certain locations? We're still not sure. Then there are the ocean's acoustic mysteries. Sound travels far in water, much farther than in air. Whales can communicate across entire ocean basins. Submarines use sonar to navigate, but the ocean also produces sounds we can't explain. The 52 Hz whale is one example. For decades, hydrophones have detected a whale singing at a frequency of 52 Hz, much higher than the typical 10 to 40 Hz of most baleen whales. No one has ever seen this whale. No one knows what species it is. It's been called the loneliest whale in the world because its song is so unique. Other whales may not be able to hear it, or maybe they can, and we're misinterpreting the data. Either way, it's been singing for over 30 years, and we still don't know who or what it is. There's also the whistle, a sound recorded in the Atlantic in 2000. It started as a low hum, then rose in pitch over several minutes, becoming a high-pitched whistle before abruptly stopping. It's been recorded multiple times since, always in the same region, but never identified. Some believe it's a type of whale or dolphin we haven't documented. Others think it might be geological, gas escaping from the seafloor. But the pattern is so consistent, so deliberate, that it feels intentional. And then there are the underwater rivers. Yes, rivers. Beneath the ocean, in certain locations, denser, saltier water flows along the seafloor, creating underwater currents that behave like rivers. The largest is in the Black Sea, where a river flows through an underwater channel, complete with rapids, waterfalls, and floodplains. It's an entire river system, invisible to anyone on the surface. And it's not the only one. Similar features have been found in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. They affect ocean circulation, sediment transport, and marine life. Yet they were only discovered recently, hidden beneath the waves. The ocean is full of layers, both literal and metaphorical. And the more we peel them back, the more we find. Strange creatures, unusual phenomena, sounds and signals we can't explain. But some of the ocean's greatest mysteries aren't natural. They're human-made, or at least they seem to be. The ocean is not just deep, it's dynamic, constantly moving, shifting, changing in ways we're only beginning to understand. And within that movement are phenomena that science struggles to explain. Take bioluminescent bays. In certain parts of the world, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, the Maldives, entire bays glow at night. Not from artificial light, but from billions of tiny organisms called dinoflagellates. When disturbed, they emit a flash of blue light, creating a glowing wake behind boats, swimmers, or fish. It's beautiful, magical, and we understand the mechanism. It's a chemical reaction within the organisms, likely a defense mechanism to startle predators. But here's the mystery. Why do they sometimes synchronize? In some bays, the dinoflagellates flash in unison, creating waves of light that pulse across the water. No one knows how they coordinate. They don't have brains or nervous systems. They don't communicate through chemicals or sound. yet they flash together, like a living, glowing heartbeat. Some scientists believe it's a response to water currents or lunar cycles. Others think it's a form of collective behavior we don't yet understand. Whatever the cause, it's a reminder that even the simplest organisms can produce phenomena that baffle us. Then there are the underwater crop circles. In 2012, a diver off the coast of Japan discovered a perfect geometric pattern on the seafloor. It was about 6 feet in diameter, with radial ridges extending outward in a symmetrical design. It looked artificial, but no one had made it. Cameras were set up, and over the next few days, they captured the creator, a small pufferfish. The male pufferfish spends days creating the pattern using only his fins to attract a mate. The more complex the design, the more likely he is to succeed. It's one of the most elaborate courtship displays in the animal kingdom, and it was only discovered recently how many other behaviors, other phenomena, are happening in the ocean that we haven't witnessed yet. Fish that build structures, cephalopods that use tools, coral reefs that communicate. The ocean is full of life, and life is endlessly creative. There are also the milky seas. Sailors have reported this phenomenon for centuries. Vast areas of the ocean, sometimes stretching for thousands of square miles, glowing with a steady, milky light. Not flashing like bioluminescent waves, but glowing constantly, bright enough to read by. For years, scientists dismissed these reports as exaggerations. Then, in 2005, satellite imagery confirmed it. Off the coast of Somalia, a Milky Sea was detected from space. It glowed for 3 consecutive nights, covering over 6,000 square miles. The cause? Likely bacteria, billions of them, bioluminescing en masse. But why? And why only in certain locations? We're still not sure. Then there are the ocean's acoustic mysteries. Sound travels far in water, much farther than in air. Whales can communicate across entire ocean basins. Submarines use sonar to navigate. But the ocean also produces sounds we can't explain. The 52 Hz whale is one example. For decades, hydrophones have detected a whale singing at a frequency of 52 Hz, much higher than the typical 10 to 40 Hz of most baleen whales. No one has ever seen this whale. No one knows what species it is. It's been called the loneliest whale in the world. Because its song is so unique, other whales may not be able to hear it. Or maybe they can, and we're misinterpreting the data. Either way, it's been singing for over 30 years, and we still don't know who or what it is. There's also the whistle, a sound recorded in the Atlantic in 2000. It started as a low hum, then rose in pitch over several minutes, becoming a high-pitched whistle before abruptly stopping. It's been recorded multiple times since, always in the same region, but never identified. Some believe it's a type of whale or dolphin we haven't documented. Others think it might be geological, gas escaping from the seafloor. But the pattern is so consistent, so deliberate, that it feels intentional. And then there are the underwater rivers. Yes, rivers. Beneath the ocean, in certain locations, denser, saltier water flows along the seafloor, creating underwater currents that behave like rivers. The largest is in the Black Sea, where a river flows through an underwater channel, complete with rapids, waterfalls, and floodplains. It's an entire river system, invisible to anyone on the surface, and it's not the only one. Similar features have been found in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. They affect ocean circulation, sediment transport, and marine life. Yet they were only discovered recently, hidden beneath the waves. The ocean is full of layers, both literal and metaphorical, and the more we peel them back, the more we find. Strange creatures, unusual phenomena, sounds and signals we can't explain. But some of the ocean's greatest mysteries aren't natural, they're human-made, or at least they seem to be. Part 2. Anomalies and Structures. In 2000, a team of divers exploring the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, discovered something extraordinary. A massive underwater structure consisting of flat terraces, straight edges, and right angles. It looked like a pyramid, or a temple, carved from solid rock sitting at a depth of about 80 feet. The Yonaguni Monument, as it came to be known, sparked immediate controversy. Was it man-made or a natural formation? Geologists examined the site. Some argued that the structure was created by natural erosion and tectonic activity. The rock in the region is sandstone, which fractures in straight lines. Earthquakes could have caused the rock to split and shift, creating the appearance of carved steps and platforms. It's plausible. But others pointed to features that seemed too precise. Tool marks, carvings that resembled animals, a stone that looked like a face. If it's natural, it's an extraordinary coincidence. If it's man-made, it would have been built during the last ice age, when sea levels were much lower. And that raises questions about who built it. Similar structures have been found around the world. Off the coast of Cuba, sonar detected what appeared to be buildings. Smooth, geometric shapes arranged in a grid pattern, sitting at a depth of over 2,000 feet. Researchers nicknamed it the Cuban Atlantis. But when submersibles were sent to investigate, the images were unclear. The shapes could be buildings, or they could be natural rock formations. Without more evidence, it's impossible to say. In the Mediterranean, divers have found ancient shipwrecks, submerged cities and harbors, remnants of civilizations lost to rising seas and earthquakes. These are well documented, studied, and understood. But there are also anomalies. Walls that don't match known construction techniques. Artifacts that seem out of place. Structures that predate known settlements in the region. Some researchers believe these are evidence of lost civilizations, advanced cultures that existed before recorded history. Others say they're misinterpretations, natural formations mistaken for ruins. The debate continues. Then there's the Baltic Sea anomaly. In 2011, a Swedish diving team using sonar detected a large, circular object sitting on the seafloor. It was about 200 feet in diameter, with straight edges and what appeared to be a ramp or staircase leading up to it. The sonar image looked strikingly like a spaceship. When the team returned to investigate, they reported strange malfunctions. Electronics stopped working, satellite phones lost signal, cameras failed. They managed to retrieve a few samples and take some photographs, but the images were inconclusive. The object appeared to be rock, covered in sediment, but its shape was unusual. Geologists who examined the data said it was likely a glacial deposit, rock pushed into place by ancient ice sheets. The straight edges were natural fractures. The ramp was erosion, but the team maintained that something about the object felt intentional, and the electronic malfunctions were never explained. Skeptics suggested equipment failure or user error. Believers pointed to similar reports from other divers in the area. To this day, the Baltic Sea anomaly remains controversial. A natural formation, a shipwreck, a hoax, or something stranger. The ocean floor is littered with anomalies like this, strange shapes detected on sonar. Formations that don't quite fit, and because exploring the ocean floor is difficult and expensive, many of them remain uninvestigated. We see a blip on a screen, take a few images, and move on, and the ocean keeps its secrets. There are also the Nazca-like lines. In the Mediterranean, near the coast of Greece, divers have found underwater lines, straight, deliberate, carved into the rock. They stretch for hundreds of feet, running parallel to each other, then diverging at precise angles. No one knows who made them or why. Some believe they're ancient navigation markers. Others think they're remnants of long-lost harbor structures, but they're unlike anything else found in the region. And then there are the megaliths. In 2013, divers off the coast of Sicily discovered a massive stone structure sitting on the seafloor at a depth of about 100 feet. It was a single block of rock, over 40 feet long, with 3 holes carved into it. The holes were evenly spaced, perfectly round, and clearly man-made. Carbon dating of nearby organic material suggested the structure was over 9,000 years old. If true, it would predate Stonehenge by thousands of years. But who built it, and why? The most likely explanation is that it was part of a coastal settlement, submerged when sea levels rose after the Ice Age. But the precision of the holes, the size of the stone, and its isolated location raise questions. Was it a mooring stone for boats? A ritual site? A quarry? We don't know. And without more context, we're left guessing. But the ocean's mysteries aren't all ancient. Some are disturbingly recent. In the 1990s, research vessels in the Pacific began detecting sonar contacts that appeared to be submarines. But they weren't. They were too fast, too agile, and didn't match any known design. The contacts were reported to naval authorities, investigated, and classified. Details are scarce, but a few reports suggest the objects were seen on sonar moving at speeds over 100 knots, diving to depths exceeding 3,000 feet, and maneuvering in ways no human-made submarine could. If the reports are accurate, we have no explanation. If they're errors, they're very consistent errors. And then there's the Ningen. In the early 2000s, Japanese sailors and researchers began reporting sightings of large, white humanoid creatures in the Antarctic Ocean. They described them as 20 to 30 feet long, with smooth, pale skin and limbs that resembled arms and legs. Some said they had faces, with eyes and mouths. Others said they were featureless. Videos and photographs allegedly showing Ningen surfaced online, but most were blurry or obviously fake. Scientists dismissed the reports as misidentifications of icebergs, whales, or other marine life. But the sightings continued. Could the Ningen be real? It's highly unlikely. There's no physical evidence, no bodies, no tissue samples, no clear footage. But the ocean is vast, and large animals can remain undiscovered for a long time. The megamouth shark, a 15-foot filter feeder, wasn't discovered until 1976. The colossal squid wasn't confirmed until the 21st century. So, while the Ningen is almost certainly a myth, the fact that people are still reporting sightings suggests there's something out there we haven't identified yet. Maybe it's a known species seen in unusual conditions. Or maybe it's something new. Either way, the ocean keeps surprising us. Part 3. The Unknown Species. How many species live in the ocean? We don't know. Estimates range from 700,000 to over 2 million, and we've only documented about 250,000. That means there are potentially over 1 million species we've never seen, never named, never studied. And some of them are big. Every year, new species are discovered, new fish, new crustaceans, new mollusks. In 2020 alone, researchers described over 2,000 new marine species. Some are tiny, microscopic bacteria living in hydrothermal vents. Others are large, sharks, rays, whales. The ocean is still revealing its inhabitants, slowly, one discovery at a time. But there are hints that some undiscovered species might be truly massive. In the early 2000s, researchers tracking whale sharks using satellite tags noticed something strange. The sharks would occasionally dive to depths exceeding 6,000 feet, far deeper than they were known to go. And at those depths, the tags recorded sudden accelerations, as if the sharks were fleeing from something. What were they running from? Other sharks? A previously unknown predator? We don't know. The tags couldn't record video, only depth, temperature, and movement. So whatever the whale sharks encountered remains a mystery. There's also the case of the globster. Over the years, massive, unidentifiable carcasses have washed ashore around the world. Blobs of flesh, sometimes weighing several tons with no clear features. No bones, no teeth, no identifiable organs. When scientists analyze them, they usually turn out to be decomposed whales or large fish, the flesh bloated and distorted by decay and ocean currents. But not always. In 2003, a massive carcass washed up in Chile. It weighed over 13 tons. DNA analysis suggested it was a sperm whale, but the size and shape didn't quite match, and some of the tissue samples showed unusual proteins. The case was closed as a whale, but doubts linger. Then there are the eyewitness accounts. Fishermen, sailors, divers, people who spend their lives on or in the ocean, sometimes report seeing things that don't fit. large, serpentine creatures gliding beneath the surface, massive shadows passing under boats, unidentifiable shapes breaching in the distance. Most of these sightings can be explained. Oarfish, which can grow over 30 feet long, are often mistaken for sea serpents. Basking sharks, with their large dorsal fins, are mistaken for monsters. Whale sharks, sunfish, and manta rays can all create impressive silhouettes. But not all sightings fit these explanations. In 1977, a Japanese fishing trawler pulled up a carcass off the coast of New Zealand. It was large, decayed, and covered in a foul-smelling slime. The crew took photographs and measurements before throwing it back due to the smell. The photos showed a long-necked, four-flippered creature that looked remarkably like a plesiosaur, a marine reptile that went extinct with the dinosaurs. The story made headlines. Cryptozoologists were ecstatic, but scientists were skeptical. When tissue samples were analyzed, they matched a basking shark. The neck was likely the shark's decomposed spine and gills, which can create a long, thin appearance. The flippers were the shark's fins, distorted by decay. It was a case of misidentification, not a living fossil. But it showed how easily the ocean can fool us. Still, the ocean is full of living fossils. The coelacanth, a fish thought to have gone extinct 66 million years ago, was rediscovered alive and well in 1938. The chambered nautilus, a relative of ancient ammonites, still thrives in deep waters. The goblin shark, with its prehistoric appearance, is a relic from a time when the ocean was very different. If these species survived, hidden from us for millions of years, what else might be out there? There are also the deep-sea sharks. In 2016, researchers discovered a new species of shark living near hydrothermal vents in the Pacific. The sharks laid their eggs near the vents, using the heat to incubate them. It was the first time such behavior had been observed, and it raised a question: how many other species use hydrothermal vents in ways we haven't documented? Then there's the six-gill shark, a deep-sea predator that can grow over 15 feet long. It's rarely seen, spending most of its life in the abyss, but occasionally it ventures into shallower water, and divers catch a glimpse. It's an ancient lineage, largely unchanged for millions of years, a true living fossil. And it's a reminder that the deep ocean is home to species that have survived every mass extinction, every climate shift, every change the Earth has thrown at them. They're survivors, and they're still evolving. But perhaps the most intriguing unknown species is the one we keep hearing. Bioacoustics researchers have recorded calls and sounds from the ocean that don't match any known animal. Some are likely from species we've documented but whose vocalizations we haven't studied. But others are genuinely mysterious. The Bloop, which we discussed earlier, is one. The 52 Hertz whale is another. And there are dozens of others, cataloged and filed away, waiting for the day we identify their source. In 2021, researchers in the Arctic recorded a new sound, a deep, rhythmic pulse that repeated every few seconds. It was heard over several weeks, then stopped. It didn't match any known whale, seal, or marine mammal. It wasn't geological. It wasn't man-made. It was biological, but unknown. And it's still listed as unidentified. The ocean is full of voices we don't recognize, and every time we drop a hydrophone into the water, we hear something new. The question is, how many of those voices belong to species we've never seen? And how many belong to species we may never see? Creatures so deep, so elusive, so rare, that they'll remain ghosts in the dark. There's something humbling about the ocean. It's not just its size, though that alone is staggering. It's the realization that we live on a planet that is mostly unknown to us. We've built cities, launched spacecraft, split the atom, sequenced the genome. We think we've conquered the world, but we haven't. Not even close. 71% of the Earth is covered by ocean, and we've explored less than 10% of it. The rest is mystery. It's a frontier as vast and unreachable as outer space, yet it's right here, lapping at our shores, breathing with the tides, alive with creatures we can't imagine. The ocean is ancient. It's been here for over 3 billion years, long before the first fish, the first plant, the first breath of oxygen. It's witnessed the rise and fall of continents, the birth and death of species, the slow, relentless march of evolution. And it will be here long after we're gone. The ocean doesn't need us, but we need it. It produces over half the oxygen we breathe. It regulates the climate, absorbing carbon dioxide and heat. It provides food for billions of people. It shapes weather patterns, ocean currents, and the very air we inhale. The ocean is the engine of the planet, and we're only beginning to understand how it works. But there's more to it than utility. There's beauty, mystery, wonder. The ocean reminds us that we're not the center of the universe, that there are places beyond our reach, creatures beyond our understanding, forces beyond our control. It reminds us to be humble, to be curious, to ask questions and accept that we may never have all the answers. Every time a submersible descends into the abyss, it's an act of exploration as bold as landing on the moon. Every time a researcher drops a hydrophone and hears a new sound, it's a discovery as profound as finding a new star. The ocean is full of moments like this, moments that make us pause, that make us wonder, that make us feel small in the best possible way. And there's something deeply human about that. We've always been drawn to the unknown. From the first humans who looked at the horizon and wondered what lay beyond, to the sailors who crossed oceans without maps, to the scientists who dive into the deepest trenches, we've always sought to push boundaries, to explore, to discover. It's in our nature. And the ocean, with all its mysteries, challenges us to keep going. But it also asks something of us. It asks us to care, to protect, to preserve. Because the ocean is fragile. Climate change is warming the water, bleaching coral reefs, disrupting ecosystems. Pollution is choking marine life, filling the water with plastic, chemicals, and noise. Overfishing is depleting stocks, collapsing food webs, emptying entire regions of life. The ocean is resilient, but it's not invincible. And the mysteries we're uncovering now may be the last glimpses of ecosystems that will disappear in our lifetime. There's a deep irony in that. We're finally beginning to explore the ocean, to understand its secrets, just as we're destroying it. The creatures we discover today may be extinct tomorrow. The coral reefs we study may be gone in a decade. The whale songs we record may fall silent. And the ocean, that vast, mysterious, beautiful ocean, may become a shadow of what it once was. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can change. We can protect the ocean, restore ecosystems, reduce pollution, and give marine life a chance to recover. We can explore with respect, not exploitation. We can marvel at the mysteries without destroying them. It's a choice, and it's one we need to make now, before it's too late. Because the ocean isn't just a place. It's a reminder that the world is bigger than we think, that there are wonders we haven't seen, that there are mysteries worth preserving, and that we're part of something larger, a planet teeming with life, connected by water, sustained by currents, alive with possibility. The ocean is calling. It's been calling for millions of years. And if we listen, really listen, we might just hear something extraordinary. So what lies beneath the waves? What secrets does the ocean hold? We've explored only a fraction of it, and already we've found things that defy explanation. Sounds we can't identify. Creatures we didn't know existed. Structures that challenge our understanding of history. The ocean is a world unto itself, vast and strange and full of mysteries. The bloop still echoes in the archives, a sound without a source. The Mariana Trench still hides creatures we've never seen. The hadal zone still holds secrets we can't reach. And somewhere, in the darkness, something is moving. Something is singing. Something is alive. We may never solve all the ocean's mysteries. Some may be beyond our technology, beyond our understanding, beyond our reach. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the ocean is meant to be mysterious. Maybe the unknown is what makes it beautiful. But one thing is certain. The ocean is still out there, waiting for the next dive, the next discovery, the next brave soul willing to descend into the abyss and see what's waiting in the dark. And when they do, they'll find wonders, they'll find nightmares, they'll find things that make them question everything they thought they knew. Because the ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. It makes you work for them, it tests you, it challenges you, and in the end it reminds you that we're just visitors here. The ocean belongs to itself, and whatever lurks in its depths, whatever calls from the darkness, whatever swims through the trenches, it's been there far longer than we have, and it will be there long after we're gone. So the next time you stand at the shore, look out at the horizon. Think about what's beneath those waves. Think about the creatures, the sounds, the mysteries waiting in the deep. And ask yourself, what else is down there? What are we missing? And what will we find when we finally look? The ocean is calling, and the answers are down there somewhere in the dark. All we have to do is dive.